Will the Senate change its filibuster rules soon? Imagine a chamber where debate can stretch endlessly, with a single senator holding up legislation through prolonged speechmaking. This practice is known as the filibuster, a procedural tool used in the United States Senate to delay or block votes on legislation. Its origins trace back to the early 20th century, and it has become a defining feature of Senate operations. The filibuster allows a minority of senators to prevent a vote unless a supermajority of 60 senators votes to end debate, a process called cloture. Recently, discussions about altering the filibuster rules have gained momentum, especially among those seeking to pass significant legislative initiatives. The core question revolves around whether the Senate will modify these rules in the near future. To understand this, it is essential to consider the current political climate, the composition of the Senate, and the historical context of rule changes. The Senate's rules are established by its members, and changing them requires a simple majority vote. However, the filibuster itself is not explicitly written into the Constitution but has been shaped by Senate tradition and practice. Over the years, the Senate has occasionally adjusted its rules, including reducing the number of votes needed for cloture from 66 to 60 in the year 1975 for most nominations, and further lowering it for judicial appointments in recent years. In the current political landscape, the possibility of changing the filibuster rules hinges on the priorities of the majority party and the nature of the legislation at stake. For instance, some members of the majority party have expressed openness to reforming or eliminating the filibuster to pass voting rights legislation or other key policies. Conversely, others argue that maintaining the filibuster preserves the Senate's tradition of requiring broad consensus and prevents hasty decisions. Efforts to change the rules face significant hurdles. A supermajority of 60 senators is generally required to alter Senate rules, meaning that bipartisan support is often necessary. While the majority party may have the votes to change the rules, some members have voiced concerns about the long-term implications of such a move, fearing it could undermine the chamber's stability and bipartisanship. In recent months, there have been discussions and proposals from some senators to modify the filibuster, but no definitive action has been taken. The outcome will depend on negotiations within the Senate, the political will of its members, and the legislative priorities at the time. Historically, the Senate has shown a capacity for rule changes when circumstances demand, but such shifts are often contentious and requiring careful consensus building. Therefore, while the possibility exists that the Senate could alter its filibuster rules soon, it remains uncertain. The decision will ultimately reflect the balance of political interests, the urgency of legislative goals, and the willingness of senators to navigate complex procedural debates.